You said, "we used to," and then stopped. Corrected yourself. Because they're still there, across the table in the next room, technically yours. But the past tense had already arrived, quiet and certain, before you'd agreed to let it in. Something in you knew. And the terrifying part isn't that it ended. It's how early you already knew. It might have happened to you like this. You were telling a friend about a trip you took together, and somewhere in the retelling you slipped into "he was" or "she always," and then caught it, laughed a little nervously, said, "Never mind." But the slip wasn't a mistake. It was a report. Some part of you was already narrating the relationship from the outside, from a place of having survived it. There's a word for the state of being fully inside a feeling, immanence. And there's something else, that cold, observing part of you that steps outside the feeling and watches it. Most of the time, those two things coexist. But when love is dying, the observer starts arriving earlier and earlier. It starts taking notes. It starts conjugating in the past tense like it's preparing a eulogy before the body is cold. Psychologists who study relationship dissolution talk about something called uncoupling. The sociologist Diane Vaughan mapped it in her 1986 work of that name. She noticed that relationships don't end at the moment of the breakup conversation. They end much earlier, privately, inside one person who begins to quietly reframe the shared story as already finished. The announcement is almost always just an announcement. The leave-taking happened weeks or months before, in the grammar of ordinary sentences. And here is what makes it strange and a little unbearable. You can be genuinely in love with someone and still do this. The past tense isn't proof that you stopped caring. It might actually be a sign of how carefully you're caring, already bracing, already building the version of events you'll need to carry forward. The love is real, and the grief is also already real. And they occupy the same moment without cancelling each other out. There's a specific kind of sentence that does this. Not, "I love you," that stays present, or at least you make it. But the sentence is about the small things. You know how he is about coffee, except you said was. She never liked that restaurant, except she's still alive and perfectly capable of not liking it right now. It's always the small facts, the texture of daily life facts, that tip first. Because the big declarations you're still holding carefully, but the small truths leak. Why does the body do this before the mind agrees? One way to think about it. The mind is loyal to the story you've chosen, the story of this being love, of this continuing. But something beneath the mind, something closer to instinct or accumulated evidence, has been counting. It's been counting the nights the conversation went flat, the mornings when the distance was too comfortable, the moments where you both let something go without fighting for it, and neither of you mentioned it. The philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty wrote about the body as a kind of intelligence, that we know things through our skin, through posture, through what we reach for without thinking. You might not have the words for what is happening, but your body has already registered an absence. It already knows that you are sitting with more space between you than there used to be. It files that. It conjugates accordingly. And then there is the other possibility, the one that is harder to sit with. That the past tense arrives not because the love is ending, but because you are ending it, somewhere below the level of decision. That the grammar shift is not just reporting, but choosing. A slow, mostly unconscious rehearsal for a life without them, trying on the widowed syntax to see if you survive it. If that's true, it doesn't make you cruel. It makes you human in a specific and lonely way. Because we rarely choose to leave all at once. We leave in small linguistic increments. We place someone in the past tense and then check, does the sentence hold? Does it feel survivable? And we do this privately without anyone to witness it, which is part of what makes this kind of ending so disorienting. It happens entirely in the interior, in the grammar of your own thinking, before it becomes an event in the world. Some people never catch themselves doing it. They arrive at the breakup genuinely surprised, or so it seems. But sometimes what they're surprised by is how ready they already are. The words come easily, the composure is there, the grief doesn't crush them the way they expected, because the grief has actually been happening for months, syllable by syllable, in the past tense of every sentence where they put someone they still technically loved. What do you do with this? If you notice it, not fix it. This isn't that kind of observation, but notice it honestly, without the usual rush to explain it away. Because the slip is information. The accidental was is your own interior trying to be heard, trying to hand you something true before you're ready to receive it. You might find, if you sit with it, that you're not ready, that the past tense arrived too early and you want to argue it back to the present. And that is a real and valid thing to do. To choose the present tense deliberately, to return to it like returning to a room you almost left. Some people do this and it holds. The choosing becomes a practice. The present tense becomes something you earn back. But some people notice the past tense and recognize it as true. And then they have to decide what to do with a truth they didn't ask for, that arrived in the grammar of a throwaway sentence while they were telling a story about something that already, somehow, felt like a long time ago. That is the ache this is really about, not the ending, but the moment you realize the ending had its own beginning. That grief has a past tense too, and yours started before you were ready to let it. You are still here. They are still here. And somewhere between now and the story you'll tell later, a verb tense is making a decision you haven't made yet. Maybe that's worth listening to. Not to rush toward the ending, just to know as fully as you can where you actually are.